FDLE, all the federal agencies, everybody's coordinated their activities very well. It's heroic, the individuals that went into the building knowing there was an active shooter. So we need to be very thankful that there are individuals that are willing to risk their lives to save other lives, and they clearly saved other lives. For anybody that thinks that they should do this, I can tell you the state of Florida, the local law enforcement, will be swift in their justice. We have great law enforcement in our state, and they're going to always do the right thing. I declared a state of emergency for Orange County. We're going to provide all the resources that anyone needs. But I can tell you, everybody's going to work together, and that's one thing great about our state, Orlando, Orange County, and I want to thank all the federal agencies for all their support. But right now, our hearts and prayers go out to everybody that's been impacted this. I can't imagine a family member that is still waiting to find out what happened to their loved one. It has to be heart-wrenching. I know the state attorney wanted to say something. No, did you want to say something? Thank you.
I just want to thank the governor for coming down to join us. This is a terrible, terrible, evil act. As a father of 7, I called and checked on some of my kids this morning to make sure they were okay. We're doing everything we can. Law enforcement is working well together. Our victim advocates are helping out to see if we can help with families, and I just encourage everyone, as I did my staff, to please donate blood because we're going to need a lot of it. And I want to thank our local law enforcement officers for the amazing job they've been doing. Thank you, sir.
We'll be glad to take any questions. Excuse me just for a second. The law enforcement's already said when the mayors have said when they're going to have another press conference, which they'll provide more information. There's a lot of unanswered questions, and at that time they'll be able to answer the questions.
Governor Scott, was the suspect someone that was on your radar beforehand? Were authorities in Florida aware of this suspect and any bad activity he may have been up to?
I know there's a later press conference. Law enforcement will answer all those questions.
You said that this is an act of terrorism. Can you just define why? What makes this an act of terrorism?
Well, this is clearly an act of terror. This is, I mean, you just can't imagine this would happen to our community, our state, or anywhere in our country. But for somebody to go in there and be an active shooter and take that number of lives, any life, but that number of lives and injure that many people is clearly an act of terror.
Governor, will this event make you change your views, and would you back any kind of gun legislation or restrictions on gun purchases, anything like that?
Right now, this is the time to find out exactly what happened. It's a time to pray for those that have been that have lost their families, that have lost their lives. Pray for the victims. There's going to be plenty of time to deal with, how our society comes together. But I can tell you, the Orlando area, the Orange County, the state of Florida, we're very resilient. We will come together and do everything we can to help everybody that's been impacted, but also bring this community back together again.
Governor, can you talk about the bullet points?
I have not talked to him yet.
Governor, can you talk about the bullet points why you issued a state of emergency here in Orange County? And
Sure.
what does that mean for the families and the victims?
Sure. We declared a state of emergency to make sure that all the resources that would be necessary for the city and the county would be necessary. Anything that would be needed from the state is available immediately. The head of the Florida Department of Law Enforcement, Rick Swearingen, is the coordinating officer, but we worked with the mayors and the sheriffs and the police chief to make sure they have all the resources they need.
Governor, what do you know about what was happening between 2 a.m. when this started and 5 a.m. when it ended?
Law enforcement will answer all those questions. They're having another press conference at, I think, at 1:30.
Do you know how many families of the victims have been contacted at this point?
I know that again, all that will come out as law enforcement will put all that out. But I know they're working hard to reach every family member, and also they have victim advocates, as the state attorney said, to take care of all these families. You just can't imagine it happen. I have daughters, I have grandchildren. I can't imagine this happening to my family.
Will you be meeting with the families yourself, Governor?
It's devastating. You don't want this to happen anywhere in the world, okay? But I can tell you, law enforcement, our elected officials, the mayors, at the state level, we coordinate our activities, hoping this would never happen. We work with the federal government, hoping this would never happen. but it's devastating when you see you see how many people lost their life and just the impact it's going to have on their families. I mean, I've got kids and grandkids. You can't imagine.
Will you be meeting with the families yourself, Governor?
I will meet with the families at the appropriate time. Look what they're going through right now.
Governor Scott, we're hearing that there was some kind of impediments this morning in between communication between the families and the hospital staff due to privacy regulations. The White House has been contacted. What role may you play in trying to help facilitate the families being able to connect with those still in the hospital?
I think, the way I understand, that's been resolved. So.
Is there anything that you can do on a policy level to stop something like this in future?
Look, we're dealing with a tragedy right now. Our prayers go out to everybody impacted. Law enforcement's doing their job. There will be plenty of time to think about how do we continue to improve our society, and we're going to continue to work on how we do that. Look, we're a resilient state. Bye-bye.
I'll answer you one HIPAA question real quick. So the CEO of the hospital came to me and said they had an issue related to the families that had come to the emergency room. Because of HIPAA regulations, they could not give them any information. So I reached out to the White House to see if we could get the HIPAA regulations waived. White House responded through appropriate channels to waive those so that the hospital could communicate with the families that were there.
Have all